The morning sun cast long shadows across the United Earth Government building in Geneva when the ships appeared. They came without warning, materializing in Earth's sky like silver mountains floating on invisible wings. The largest vessel stretched over 10 kilometers long, its crystal surface reflecting sunlight in patterns that hurt to look at. Directly, Dr. Elena Vasquez was giving a lecture about interstellar communication theory when every screen in the university suddenly switched to emergency broadcasts. Students gasped and pointed at the windows. Above the city, the alien ships hung motionless, their presence both beautiful and terrifying. "This is not a drill," the emergency announcement repeated. "All citizens must remain calm and await further instructions." Elena watched her students' faces change from excitement to fear. These young people had grown up dreaming about first contact with alien life. Now that dream had become reality, and nobody knew what it meant. Within 6 hours, the aliens made contact. They sent a signal that every communication device on Earth received at the same time. The message was simple and direct, spoken in perfect English, Mandarin, Spanish, and dozens of other human languages. "We are the Zephyrian Collective. We come in peace to meet the inhabitants of this world." The aliens requested a meeting with Earth's leaders. They chose a neutral location in space, halfway between Earth and the Moon. President Martinez, representing the United Earth Government, led a small diplomatic team aboard humanity's newest spacecraft, the UEG Harmony. Elena was selected as part of the scientific delegation. She had spent her career studying theoretical alien contact scenarios, but nothing had prepared her for the reality. The Zephyrian vessel that met them was unlike anything humans had ever built. Its walls seemed to be made of living crystal that pulsed with soft blue light. The corridors were wide and tall, designed for beings much larger than humans. When Elena first saw a Zephyrian, her breath caught in her throat. The alien stood nearly 3 meters tall, with a body that looked like it was carved from translucent stone. Its skin had the texture of polished marble, and when it moved, light danced beneath the surface like trapped lightning. 4 arms extended from its torso, each ending in hands with 6 long fingers. Its head was triangular, with 3 eyes arranged in a triangle pattern. The creature spoke without moving its mouth. Its voice resonated directly inside Elena's mind, somehow translating itself into words she could understand. "I am Commander Zeth Ka of the Zephyrian Collective," the alien said. "We greet the humans of Earth." President Martinez stepped forward, trying to hide his nervousness. "Welcome, Commander. We are honored by your visit. I am President Martinez, representing all of humanity." The alien's 3 eyes studied the human delegation with what seemed like casual interest. Elena noticed how its gaze lingered on each person, as if measuring them. She felt uncomfortably small under that alien stare. "Your species intrigues us," Commander Zethka said. "You have achieved limited space travel, yet your technology remains primitive. Your bodies are fragile, your lifespans brief, yet you have spread across your world and begun to reach for the stars." Dr. Harrison, the lead scientist, spoke up. "We may be young compared to your civilization, but humans are eager to learn. We hope this meeting can begin a peaceful relationship between our peoples." The alien's response sent chills through Elena's body. "Peace, yes, that is why we have come. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. Young species like yours require guidance and protection. The collective offers this service to worthy civilizations." Something in the way the alien said protection made Elena's stomach twist with worry. President Martinez must have felt the same unease. "We appreciate your offer, Commander, but humanity values its independence. Perhaps we could discuss trade agreements or cultural exchange instead." The alien's expression changed. Elena couldn't read Zephyrian emotions, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. "Independence is a luxury that weak species cannot afford," Commander Zethka said. "Your people are soft, President Martinez. You have no natural armor, no enhanced strength. Your weapons are crude projectiles that could not scratch our shields. Your ships move slowly through space like wounded animals." "We may not be as advanced as your people," President Martinez replied carefully, "but humans have survived and prospered on Earth for thousands of years." "Earth," the alien repeated. "A single world. The collective spans hundreds of systems. We have existed for millions of your years. We have seen countless species rise and fall. You humans follow a familiar pattern." Commander Zethka gestured with one of its 4 arms. The crystal wall became transparent, showing the view outside. Earth hung in the distance, blue and beautiful and suddenly very small. Look at your world, President Martinez. See how peaceful it appears from here. Your people live in cities, tend gardens, create art, and raise children. You have scientists like Dr. Harrison who study the stars, and teachers like Dr. Vasquez who share knowledge with the young. This is admirable, but it is also why you need our protection. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. How did the alien know her profession? They had been watching Earth, studying humanity before making contact. What exactly are you offering? President Martinez asked. Simple, Commander Zethka replied. The collective will establish a protectorate over Earth. You will provide workers and resources to support our galactic operations. In return, we will defend your world from the dangers that exist beyond your understanding. No hostile species will threaten Earth while it remains under our protection. And if we refuse? Dr. Harrison asked. The alien's three eyes focused on him with uncomfortable intensity. Refusal would be unwise. We have observed your species for many rotations. Humans are builders and creators, not warriors. You prefer cooperation to conflict. This is why you will accept our offer. President Martinez straightened his shoulders. Elena admired his courage, even though she could see his hands shaking slightly. Commander, we need time to discuss this with our people. Such a decision affects all of humanity. Of course, the alien agreed. You have 72 hours to consider our offer. After that time, we will begin implementing the protectorate with or without your cooperation. It will be easier for everyone if you choose to cooperate. The meeting ended shortly after. The human delegation returned to Earth in tense silence. Elena stared out the viewport at the alien ships, which now seemed less like visitors and more like a blockade. Back on Earth, emergency sessions began immediately. The United Earth government called together leaders from every nation, every colony, every organization that represented human interests. The debate was fierce but brief. The aliens had made their intentions clear. Elena found herself in the briefing room as experts tried to understand what humanity faced. Military advisors spoke grimly about the aliens' technology. Their ships showed no visible weapons, but sensors detected energy signatures beyond human understanding. Their shields had casually deflected every scanning beam Earth's ships had attempted. They're right about one thing, General Roberts said quietly. Our weapons wouldn't even scratch their hulls. If this comes to a fight, we'd lose badly. Elena thought about Commander Zethka's words. The alien had seemed so confident, so certain that humans would submit without a fight. It had called them soft, weak, unsuited for conflict. The alien was wrong about one thing, though. It had observed Earth's cities, its schools, its peaceful civilian population. But Elena wondered if the Zephyrians had seen everything. Earth had many secrets, and not all of them were peaceful. As she left the briefing room, Elena noticed something that gave her a small spark of hope. The military advisors were making quiet phone calls using codes she didn't recognize. Whatever humanity's response would be, it seemed like some preparations were already beginning. The clock was ticking. 72 hours to decide the fate of human civilization. The 72 hours passed like a nightmare. Elena barely slept, spending her time in the emergency command center that had been set up beneath the United Earth government building. News feeds from around the world showed the same story everywhere. The Zephyrian ships hung in the sky like deadly promises, never moving, never communicating, just waiting. President Martinez addressed the world on the final day. His face was drawn and tired, but his voice remained steady. My fellow humans, he said, looking directly into the camera, the Zephyrian collective has given us an ultimatum. Accept their protection or face the consequences. As your elected leaders, we have made a decision. Humanity will not surrender its freedom without a fight. Elena felt pride and terror in equal measure. Around her, government officials and scientists prepared for the worst. Everyone knew what would happen next. They didn't have to wait long. Exactly 72 hours after the first meeting, the alien ships began to move. Elena watched the satellite feeds as the massive vessels descended toward Earth's major cities. They moved slowly, almost casually, as if they had all the time in the world. Incoming transmission from the lead ship, the communications officer announced. Commander Zethka's voice filled the command center, speaking in that unsettling way that bypassed the ears and spoke directly to the mind. People of Earth, your leaders have chosen poorly. The collective does not wish to harm you, but you must understand your place in the galaxy. We will now begin pacification operations. Do not resist and no one will be injured. The first city to be attacked was London. Elena watched in horror as beams of silver light erupted from the Zephyrian ship hovering over the Thames. But these weren't destructive weapons. Instead, the beams seemed to paralyze everything they touched. Cars stopped moving, their engines simply dying. Electronic devices went dark. Even people caught in the beams fell to the ground unconscious but unharmed. Some kind of neural disruptor, Dr. Harrison said, studying the readings. They're not trying to kill people, just disable them. Similar scenes played out across the globe. New York, Tokyo, Paris, Mumbai, São Paulo. In every major city, Zephyrian ships descended and began their systematic pacification. Local police and planetary defense forces tried to fight back, but their weapons simply bounced off the alien shields. Within hours, the ships had neutralized all organized resistance. The aliens moved with frightening efficiency. Ground troops emerged from the ships, tall Zephyrian soldiers in crystal armor that made them look like walking statues. They established control points throughout each city, setting up devices that projected force fields around important buildings. Commander Zethka broadcast another message as the sun set on the first day of invasion. Citizens of Earth, the pacification phase is complete. You may resume your normal activities, but you must report to the nearest collective registration center within 48 hours. There you will receive work assignments and housing allocations. Cooperation will ensure your safety and comfort. Elena felt sick to her stomach. The aliens were treating humans like cattle, sorting them into useful categories. She watched news feeds showing long lines of people waiting at the registration centers, their faces blank with shock and defeat. But something strange was happening. The military advisors in the command center weren't acting like defeated men. Instead, they seemed to be waiting for something. General Roberts checked his watch frequently and spoke in whispers to his aides. "General?" President Martinez asked. "What's our status?" "All civilian evacuation protocols are complete, Mr. President," Roberts replied. "Emergency broadcast systems are active. Phase 1 is ready to begin." Elena didn't understand what Phase 1 meant, but she was about to find out. Deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, an ancient alarm began to sound. The sound echoed through corridors that most people didn't know existed, past blast doors that hadn't opened in decades. In a chamber carved from solid rock, computers that had been sleeping for 30 years suddenly came online. Colonel Sarah Chen opened her eyes in the medical bay of Luna Base 7, a military installation hidden on the dark side of the moon. For 20 years she had been in voluntary cryogenic suspension, waiting for orders that might never come. Now those orders had arrived. "Colonel," the base commander said as Sarah's medical pods opened, "Emergency Protocol Omega has been activated. Earth is under alien occupation." Sarah sat up slowly, her enhanced body adapting quickly to being awake again. She had been one of the first volunteers for the Super Soldier program, back when the Outer Colony Wars were raging. Her bones were reinforced with titanium, her reflexes boosted by neural implants, her muscles enhanced by gene therapy. She was what humans could become when they chose to be weapons instead of civilians. "How many ships?" she asked, her voice hoarse from decades of sleep. 47 confirmed vessels, the commander replied. "They've occupied all major population centers. Estimates suggest they believe they've conquered Earth." Sarah smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. "They made a mistake. They attacked the civilians first." Across the solar system, similar scenes were playing out. In hidden bases on Mars, Europa, and Titan, soldiers began waking up from long sleep. These weren't the peacekeepers the aliens had seen. These were humanity's secret weapons, warriors trained for conflicts that the civilian population never knew about. Master Sergeant Jake Rodriguez opened his eyes in a bunker deep beneath the Australian outback. His unit, the Ranger Reconnaissance Division, had been in standby mode since the last corporate war ended 15 years ago. Around him, 49 other enhanced soldiers were also waking up. "Sit rep," Jake demanded as soon as his medical officer cleared him for duty. "Alien Occupation Force, Sarge. They think they've won because they neutralized the regular forces. Intel suggests they have no idea we exist." Jake checked his equipment locker. His armor was still there, black as space and covered with stealth projectors. His weapons were stored in a separate vault, locked behind security protocols that would kill anyone who tried to open them without authorization. "Time to teach some aliens about human warfare," he said. "On Earth, The Zephyrian occupation was proceeding exactly as Commander Zethka had predicted. Humans were reporting to registration centers, accepting their new roles in the Galactic Order. The few resistance groups that formed were easily detected and neutralized by Zephyrian sensors. But the aliens were beginning to notice some irregularities. Communication satellites were going offline, but not from any obvious damage. Supply convoys were disappearing in remote areas, leaving no trace of what had happened to them. Zephyrian patrols reported equipment malfunctions in certain zones, though their technicians could find nothing wrong with the devices. Commander Zethka studied the reports from his flagship, orbiting high above Earth. These incidents were minor, barely worth his attention. Humans were clearly trying some form of primitive resistance, but their efforts were pathetic compared to Zephyrian technology. "Commander," his intelligence officer reported, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from several locations around the planet. The sources appear to be underground. Investigate," Zethka ordered. "Humans may have hidden some of their primitive military installations. Locate and neutralize them." But when Zephyrian scout ships approached the energy signatures, they found nothing. Empty landscapes, abandoned mines, or natural caves. The energy readings disappeared as soon as the aliens arrived, as if they had never existed. What the Zephyrians didn't realize was that they were being watched. In hidden observation posts that their sensors couldn't detect, human soldiers were studying alien tactics, learning their patrol patterns, identifying their weaknesses. Every Zephyrian movement was being recorded and analyzed by military minds that had been preparing for this kind of asymmetric warfare for decades. Elena, still in the underground command center, noticed the change first. The military advisors stopped looking defeated and started looking like predators waiting to strike. General Roberts was smiling for the first time since the invasion began. "General," President Martinez said quietly, "please tell me we have some kind of plan." "Mr. President," Roberts replied, "the aliens made one critical error. They studied our civilian population and concluded that all humans are like that. They never discovered our military capabilities because we've kept them hidden for exactly this scenario." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that Earth has more than one face, sir. The aliens have seen our peaceful side. Now they're about to meet our warriors." As night fell on the second day of occupation, the real war was about to begin. In the darkness between stars, human ships that didn't appear on any official registry began moving toward Earth. In hidden bunkers around the world, soldiers who had been sleeping for years prepared for battle. The Zephyrians had conquered Earth's civilians. They were about to discover that Earth had many more secrets than they had imagined. The first sign that something had changed came at 0300 hours Earth Standard Time. A Zephyrian patrol station in the Siberian wilderness simply stopped responding to communications. Commander Zethka ordered a scout ship to investigate, but when it arrived at the coordinates, the station was gone. Not destroyed, not damaged, completely missing as if it had never existed. "How does an entire outpost disappear?" the intelligence officer asked, staring at the empty ground where the station should have been. "Human primitives must have used some form of camouflage," Zethka replied dismissively. "Increase patrols in that sector." But the commander was beginning to feel something he hadn't experienced in centuries of conquest: unease. 3,000 kilometers away, Colonel Sarah Chen stood in the ruins of what had been a Zephyrian patrol station. Her team had spent 6 hours carefully dismantling the structure, removing every piece of alien technology for study. The Zephyrian soldiers had been dealt with quietly, efficiently, and without any of them managing to send a distress signal. "Clean extraction," reported Lieutenant Torres, her second in command. "We now have complete technical specifications for their portable shield generators." Sarah nodded, examining a piece of Zephyrian crystal technology. Her enhanced vision could see energy patterns moving through the alien device like rivers of light. The technology was advanced, but it followed logical principles. More importantly, it had weaknesses. "Package everything for transport to the technical analysis teams," she ordered, "and prepare the next target. The aliens think they understand human capabilities. Time to educate them." Sarah's unit was one of 12 enhanced teams that had been activated simultaneously. Each team consisted of 30 soldiers who had volunteered for genetic and cybernetic enhancement during the corporate wars of the 2140s. They were faster, stronger, and smarter than baseline humans, with reflexes boosted by neural implants and bones reinforced with titanium alloys. But their greatest advantage wasn't their enhanced bodies. It was their training. Master Sergeant Jake Rodriguez crouched in the shadows beneath a Zephyrian command post in what used to be downtown Berlin. His reconnaissance armor made him virtually invisible, its surface shifting color and texture to match the surrounding environment. Through his enhanced vision, he could see the alien guards patrolling the perimeter. The Zephyrians moved in predictable patterns, following the same routes every time. Their discipline was impressive, but it was also mechanical. They didn't seem to understand the concept of varying their behavior to avoid ambush. Jake's team had been watching the command post for 18 hours, learning every detail of its operation. The aliens had established their headquarters in the ruins of the Reichstag, setting up force field barriers around the building and positioning guard towers at regular intervals. Standard siege mentality, Jake whispered into his comm unit. They're thinking like an army that expects to fight other armies, not guerrillas. His teammate, Sergeant Martinez, was positioned on a rooftop 400 meters away. Perimeter sensors are on a rotating frequency. I can give you a 30-second window every 4 minutes. Copy that. Beginning infiltration. Jake moved like a shadow, using techniques perfected in a dozen corporate conflicts on the outer worlds. He slipped between sensor sweeps, avoiding Zephyrian patrols by predicting their movements. The aliens never looked up, never checked their SICs, never varied their procedures. Inside the command post, Jake found something that made him smile grimly. The Zephyrians had detailed maps of Earth's major cities, showing the locations of government buildings, power plants, and communication centers. But the maps were incomplete. They showed no military installations, no hidden bunkers, no secret bases. The aliens had built their invasion plan based on civilian infrastructure. Jake planted his surveillance devices quickly and efficiently, then slipped back out the way he had come. By dawn, human intelligence would know everything about Zephyrian command protocols. But the most important operation was happening in space. Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka piloted her stealth fighter through the debris field of an old mining station, using the metal fragments to mask her approach to the Zephyrian fleet. Her ship was a modified Wraith-class interceptor, built for deep space reconnaissance missions that officially didn't exist. Yuki's mission was simple: get close enough to the alien ships to deploy tracking beacons and electronic warfare packages. The Zephyrians had superior technology, but they also broadcast on predictable frequencies and used standard military communication protocols. Target acquired, she whispered, activating her ship's advanced sensors. The Zephyrian destroyer hung in space ahead of her, its crystal hull gleaming with internal lights. Beautiful but also vulnerable. Yuki launched her packages, tiny devices that attached themselves to the alien hull, and began monitoring all communications. Within hours, human cryptographers would be analyzing Zephyrian military codes. But something went wrong. One of the tracking devices malfunctioned, emitting a brief energy pulse. Alarms began sounding throughout the Zephyrian fleet. Human vessel detected, came the alien broadcast. All units converge and destroy. Yuki's fighter was fast, but the Zephyrian ships were faster. Energy beams lanced through space around her as she pushed her engines to maximum burn. Her ship shuddered under near misses, but she managed to escape into the asteroid belt. The chase lasted for 3 hours. Yuki used every trick she had learned in 20 years of void combat, hiding behind asteroids, using gravitational slings to change direction, even shutting down her engines and drifting to avoid detection. Finally, she lost her pursuers and limped back to Luna Base. Mission accomplished, she reported to Base Command. But they know we have military spacecraft now. The Zephyrian response was swift and brutal. Commander Zethka ordered immediate raids on every location where human military technology might be hidden. But the aliens were looking in the wrong places. They searched government buildings, known military bases, and civilian spaceports. They never found the real installations. Elena watched the news feeds from the underground command center, seeing Zephyrian forces ransacking museums and libraries, searching for weapons that weren't there. The aliens were getting frustrated, and frustrated enemies made mistakes. They're starting to realize they don't understand us, General Roberts observed. Good. Confusion is the first step toward defeat. General, President Martinez asked, how long can our people stay hidden? As long as necessary, sir. These installations were designed to remain undetected even if Earth was occupied. We can wait months if we need to, But they wouldn't need to wait that long. The first major engagement happened in the Australian outback. A Zephyrian patrol convoy was moving through the desert when they encountered what appeared to be a broken-down civilian transport. The aliens stopped to investigate, following their protocols for dealing with human refugees. It was a trap. Jake's ranger unit had been waiting in the sand for 8 hours, their armor adapting to match the desert environment. When the Zephyrian soldiers approached the decoy vehicle, the rangers struck from all directions simultaneously. The fight lasted exactly 90 seconds. Zephyrian armor was strong, but it wasn't designed to withstand focused fire from military-grade plasma weapons at point-blank range. Their shields were powerful, but they had gaps where the generators connected to their bodies. When it was over, Jake stood over the remains of 6 Zephyrian soldiers. These weren't the first aliens he had killed, but they were the most technologically advanced. His team quickly collected their weapons and equipment, then disappeared back into the desert before reinforcements could arrive. Commander Zeth Ka received the report 6 hours later. For the first time since arriving at Earth, he felt genuine shock. 6 soldiers eliminated in less than 2 minutes? He demanded. How is this possible? The attackers appear to have been wearing advanced camouflage armor, his intelligence officer replied. They knew our patrol routes and equipment capabilities. This was a planned ambush by trained military personnel, but our scans showed no organized military on this world. Commander, it appears our intelligence was incomplete. Zeth Ka stared at the tactical displays, seeing his neat occupation plans beginning to unravel. Humans weren't supposed to have enhanced soldiers or stealth technology. They weren't supposed to be capable of asymmetric warfare, but the evidence was mounting. Communication intercepts showed that human resistance groups were coordinating across vast distances. Equipment losses were increasing daily, and now his soldiers were being killed by enemies they couldn't even see. Increase security protocols, he ordered. Double all patrols, and find these human warriors before they can strike again. But the Zephyrians were already too late. Across the Earth and throughout the solar system, human military units were moving into position. The aliens had spent 3 days believing they had conquered a world of farmers and shopkeepers. They were about to learn what humans could do when they stopped. Pretending to be civilized, the Shadow War had begun, and humanity was playing by rules the Zephyrians had never learned. The tide began to turn when Captain Maria Santos received her mission orders. Standing in the docking bay of Deep Space Platform Omega, a military installation hidden in the asteroid belt, she looked at the modified assault ship that would carry her team into the most dangerous operation of the war. Your target is the Zephyrian heavy cruiser, designated ZC-7, the briefing officer explained. Intelligence indicates it's their primary command and control vessel for the Earth occupation. Your mission is to board, capture their command staff, and extract all tactical data. Maria nodded, checking her armor seals one final time. Behind her, 29 other space assault specialists prepared their equipment. These soldiers had trained for zero-gravity combat in hostile environments, but none of them had ever attempted to board an active enemy warship. Remember, Maria told her team, the Zephyrians have never fought humans before. They don't know our tactics, our capabilities, or our determination. Use that advantage. The assault ship launched silently from the platform, using gravitational slings and momentum to approach the Zephyrian fleet without detection. Maria watched through the viewport as Earth grew larger, seeing the alien ship spread across near-Earth space like a spider's web of crystal and light. Meanwhile, on the surface, General David Kim was coordinating the largest military operation in human history. From his command center buried beneath the Rocky Mountains, he directed resistance cells across 6 continents. His enhanced neural interface allowed him to process information from thousands of sources simultaneously. Status: report from European theater, his aide announced. Strike Team Alpha has eliminated 3 more Zephyrian outposts in the Alps, no casualties. Strike Team Beta is in position to attack the Vienna command center. Asian theater? Colonel Chen's unit has successfully captured a Zephyrian technical facility in Siberia. Our engineers are reverse engineering their shield generators as we speak. Kim smiled grimly. The aliens had made their second critical mistake. They had assumed that human technology was inferior in every way. But human engineers were the best in the galaxy at adapting and improving existing designs. Give them a piece of alien technology, and they would figure out how to make it work better within hours. The proof of that came from Luna Base, where human technicians had been working around the clock to understand Zephyrian equipment. Dr. Harrison, who had been evacuated from Earth during the invasion, was now leading the reverse engineering effort. "We've cracked their shield technology," he reported to Kim via encrypted communication. "The energy matrix follows quantum principles, but it has a critical flaw. The shields are designed to deflect directed energy and projectile weapons, but they're vulnerable to certain electromagnetic frequencies. Can we exploit that?" "Already working on it. Give us 12 hours and we'll have weapons that can punch through their defenses." While the scientists worked, the soldiers continued their campaign of sabotage and destruction. Jake Rodriguez had moved his rangers to the outskirts of Beijing, where a major Zephyrian garrison controlled the Eastern Asian sector. The aliens had fortified the Forbidden City, turning the ancient palace complex into a military headquarters. Force fields surrounded the walls. Guard towers monitored every approach, and Zephyrian soldiers patrolled in regular formations. "Classic fortress mentality," Jake observed through his scope. "They're thinking like medieval generals, not special operations commanders." His team had spent 2 days studying the garrison's routines. The Zephyrians changed guard every 6 hours, conducted perimeter sweeps every 30 minutes, and maintained communication checks every 10 minutes. Their discipline was perfect, which was exactly their weakness. "Perfect discipline means perfect predictability," Jake told his team. "We're going to use their own precision against them." The attack began at midnight local time. While Maria Santos was preparing to board the Zephyrian cruiser in space, Jake's Rangers implemented what human military doctrine called a chaos insertion. Instead of trying to breach the alien fortifications, the Rangers allowed themselves to be captured. They approached the Forbidden City in small groups, wearing civilian clothes and carrying fake identification papers. When the Zephyrian guards detained them, the Rangers offered no resistance. The aliens, following their protocols for dealing with human refugees, transported the captured Rangers to holding areas inside the fortress. This gave the humans exactly what they wanted: access to the interior defenses. At precisely 0200 hours, the Rangers activated concealed weapons and began their assault from inside the Zephyrian headquarters. Chaos erupted throughout the fortress as aliens found themselves under attack from prisoners they had assumed were helpless civilians. Jake's team moved through the ancient palace corridors like shadows, their enhanced reflexes allowing them to outfight aliens who were stronger, but slower to adapt. Within 30 minutes, they had captured the command center and secured critical intelligence about Zephyrian operations across Asia. But the real breakthrough came in space. Maria Santos and her assault team had successfully attached their boarding pod to the hull of the Zephyrian cruiser. Using cutting tools enhanced with captured alien technology, they burned through the crystal hull and entered the ship. The interior was a maze of transparent corridors and geometric chambers. Everything was designed for beings 3 meters tall with 4 arms, making movement difficult for humans. But Maria's team had trained in alien environments and they adapted quickly. "Remember, we're not here to destroy the ship," Maria reminded her team as they moved deeper into the vessel. "We need those computers intact." The first Zephyrian they encountered was in what appeared to be an engineering section. The alien spotted them immediately and raised an alarm, but Sergeant Collins took it down with a plasma burst before it could reach its communication panel. "Contact front," Collins reported. "Alien down, but more will be coming." They were right. Warning lights began flashing throughout the ship, and Maria could hear the sound of running footsteps, or whatever Zephyrians used for feet, echoing through the corridors. "Defensive positions," Maria ordered. "Make them come to us." The Zephyrians attacked in waves, trying to overwhelm the human invaders with superior numbers. But the narrow corridors negated their advantage, forcing them to approach in single file. Maria's team had positioned themselves at a corridor junction, creating an interlocking field of fire that no alien could survive. The battle lasted for 40 minutes. When it was over, 17 Zephyrian soldiers lay dead, and Maria's team had suffered only minor injuries. More importantly, they had reached the command center. "Jackpot," whispered Corporal Yamamoto, the team's technical specialist. "These computers contain fleet deployment data, communication codes, and tactical assessments." But the most important discovery was in the commander's personal files. As Yamamoto cracked the alien encryption, He found detailed reports about human capabilities, or rather what the Zephyrians thought human capabilities were. "Ma'am, you need to see this," Yamamoto said. According to their intelligence files, they think Earth's total military force consists of about 50,000 poorly equipped soldiers with primitive weapons. Maria stared at the data. The aliens had completely missed humanity's actual military strength. They had no idea about the enhanced soldiers, the hidden bases, or the advanced weapons that human engineers had been developing for decades. "They think we're cavemen with sticks," she said in amazement. No wonder they were so confident. While Maria's team downloaded the alien data, General Kim was implementing the next phase of his plan. All across Earth, human resistance cells received synchronized orders. At exactly 1800 hours Greenwich time, every human military unit would strike simultaneously. The coordinated assault began in London, where Colonel Peterson's urban warfare specialist had spent a week infiltrating the Zephyrian occupation zone. Using sewers, maintenance tunnels, and abandoned buildings, they had positioned themselves throughout the city without being detected. When the signal came, they struck at 12 different targets simultaneously. Zephyrian command posts, communication centers, and supply depots all came under attack at the same moment. The aliens, who had grown accustomed to dealing with isolated resistance cells, suddenly found themselves fighting organized military forces across an entire city. The same pattern repeated in every major city on Earth. Human soldiers emerged from hiding places the aliens had never suspected, attacking with weapons and tactics that the Zephyrians had no defense against. Commander Zeth Ka watched his neat occupation collapse in real time. Reports flooded in from every sector: massive coordinated attacks, significant casualties, loss of strategic facilities. The humans weren't just resisting anymore, they were counterattacking. "How many human soldiers do we face?" he demanded. "Unknown, Commander," his intelligence officer replied. "Our estimates appear to have been incorrect." Incorrect was an understatement. The Zephyrians had assumed they were fighting a species with limited military capability. Instead, they found themselves at war with a race that had been perfecting the art of combat for thousands of years. In the Australian outback, Jake's Rangers had captured an entire Zephyrian supply convoy. In orbit around Mars, human stealth ships were attacking alien patrol vessels. On the Moon, Colonel Chen's Special Forces unit had taken control of Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UEG Retribution, humanity's flagship that officially didn't exist. Around her, the largest human fleet ever assembled prepared for the most important battle in Earth's history. 57 ships hung in space near Jupiter, their hulls black as the void between stars. These weren't the civilian vessels the Zephyrians had seen during first contact. These were warships, built in secret shipyards and hidden for decades in the outer system. Each ship had been designed for one purpose: fighting enemies with superior technology. "Fleet status report," Sarah commanded. "All ships ready?" "Admiral," replied Captain Foster, her tactical officer. "Enhanced weapon systems online. Captured Zephyrian shield harmonics loaded into targeting computers. Strike team standing by for boarding operations." Sarah nodded, studying the tactical display. The Zephyrian mothership hung in high Earth orbit, a massive crystal structure 15 kilometers long. Intelligence indicated it housed the aliens' supreme commander and the control systems for their entire fleet. "Remember," Sarah addressed her fleet commanders, "we're not trying to match their technology. We're going to overwhelm them with tactics they've never seen before." Operation Prometheus was unlike anything attempted in human military history. While Sarah's fleet prepared to assault the mothership, ground forces across Earth launched simultaneous attacks on every Zephyrian installation. The plan was simple: force the aliens to fight on multiple fronts while a strike team infiltrated their command center. General Kim watched the global offensive unfold from his command bunker. Across 6 continents, human soldiers emerged from hiding to attack Zephyrian positions, but these weren't desperate resistance fighters anymore. These were coordinated military units with captured alien technology and detailed knowledge of enemy weaknesses. European theater reports successful capture of the Geneva Occupation Center, his aide announced. Asian theater has secured Beijing and is advancing on Shanghai. Australian forces have eliminated all Zephyrian presence in the outback. Kim allowed himself a small smile. The aliens had made their final mistake by underestimating human adaptability. In just 1 week of fighting, human engineers had reverse-engineered Zephyrian shield technology, modified their weapons to penetrate alien armor, and developed new tactics specifically designed to exploit Zephyrian weaknesses. On the surface of Earth, Colonel Jake Rodriguez led the final assault on the Forbidden City. His Rangers had spent 3 days clearing Beijing of alien forces, and now they faced the last major Zephyrian stronghold in Asia. Enemy positions confirmed, reported Sergeant Martinez from his sniper position. 12 guard towers, heavy shield generators, approximately 200 alien soldiers. Jake studied the fortress through his enhanced vision. The Zephyrians had learned from their earlier defeats and improved their defenses. But they were still thinking like conventional military commanders, not special operations veterans. They've made their fortifications stronger, Jake observed, but they haven't made them smarter. Strike Team Alpha, implement Maneuver 7. Maneuver 7 was something Jake had developed during the corporate wars on Titan. Instead of attacking the strongest points of an enemy position, human forces would attack the defender's psychology. Make them afraid, confused, and uncertain. The assault began with precision strikes against the guard towers. But instead of destroying them completely, Jake's snipers damaged them just enough to make them unstable. Zephyrian soldiers found themselves in towers that could collapse at any moment, forcing them to abandon their positions. Next came the sonic attacks. Human engineers had discovered that certain sound frequencies disrupted Zephyrian neural patterns. Hidden speakers throughout the area began broadcasting these frequencies, causing the alien defenders to experience disorientation and panic. Finally, Jake's Rangers struck from multiple directions simultaneously, using captured Zephyrian camouflage technology to appear and disappear like ghosts. The aliens found themselves fighting shadows, never knowing where the next attack would come from. The fortress fell in 6 hours. When it was over, Jake stood in the ancient throne room of the Forbidden City, now littered with the remnants of alien technology. Another Zephyrian stronghold had been eliminated, and with it their control over Eastern Asia. But the real battle was happening in space. Admiral Sarachen's fleet had reached Earth orbit, moving in formation toward the Zephyrian mothership. The alien vessel was magnificent, its crystal hull reflecting sunlight in patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid. "Starlight, incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. Commander Zeth Ka's voice filled the bridge, but now it carried tones of frustration and confusion that hadn't been there during first contact. "Human vessels, you will cease this attack immediately. Your species lacks the capability to threaten collective forces. Surrender now and we will show mercy." Sarah opened a channel to reply. "Commander, this is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Fleet. You made one critical error in your intelligence gathering. You observed our civilians and assumed that was all we were. Impossible. Our scans showed no significant military presence on your world." "That's because you didn't know where to look," Sarah replied. "You've been fighting Earth soldiers for the past week. How do you think that's been going for you?" There was a long pause before Zeth Ka responded. "You have managed some minor tactical successes, but you cannot match collective technology." "We don't need to match it," Sarah said. "We just need to beat you." The space battle began when the Zephyrian mothership fired its main weapons, beams of concentrated energy that could vaporize any normal spacecraft. But the human ships scattered in all directions, using maneuvers that no Zephyrian pilot would have attempted. "Evasive pattern Delta," Sarah commanded. "All ships begin attack run." The human fleet moved like a pack of wolves, attacking from multiple angles while never remaining in one position long enough for the alien weapons to target them effectively. Each ship was smaller and weaker than any Zephyrian vessel, but together they created a web of destruction that the aliens couldn't counter. Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka piloted her fighter through the defensive screen around the mothership, dodging energy beams while targeting specific weak points her technical team had identified. Her modified weapons, enhanced with captured Zephyrian technology, punched through the alien shields and began carving holes in the massive hull. "Breach confirmed in Section 7, she reported. "Boarding teams, you have an entry point." Colonel Sarah Chen led the boarding operation personally. Her enhanced super soldier unit had trained for this exact scenario, fighting inside an alien vessel against technologically superior opponents. As their assault pods punched through the mothership's hull, She felt the familiar surge of combat readiness that had kept her alive through a dozen wars. The interior of the mothership was even more magnificent than the exterior. Corridors stretched for hundreds of meters in perfect geometric patterns, lit by the soft glow of the crystal walls. But Sarah wasn't here for sightseeing. Intelligence indicates the command center is 12 levels up, she told her team. We go in fast, hit hard, and extract before they can organize a counterattack. The Zephyrians defending their own ship fought with desperate courage, but they were unprepared for human close-quarters combat techniques. Sarah's team moved through the corridors like a precision weapon, using captured alien technology combined with human tactical innovation. When they finally reached the command center, Sarah found herself face-to-face with Commander Zethka himself. The alien stood nearly 3 meters tall, his crystalline armor making him look like a living statue. But there was something different in his 3 eyes now, something that looked almost like fear. You cannot be here, Zethka said, his mental voice carrying disbelief. Your species lacks the capability for such operations. You keep saying that, Sarah replied, raising her plasma rifle. But here I am. The final confrontation was brief but decisive. Zethka was a formidable opponent, his forearms moving with inhuman speed as he tried to reach his weapons. But Sarah had been designed to fight enemies exactly like him, stronger, faster, and more advanced, but lacking human tactical flexibility. When it was over, the Zephyrian commander lay defeated, his crystal armor cracked and his pride broken. Around him, his command staff surrendered as human soldiers secured the bridge. This is Admiral Chen to all Zephyrian forces, Sarah broadcast over the alien communication network. Your commander is defeated, your mothership is under human control, and your invasion has failed. You have 30 minutes to evacuate Earth space, or we will destroy every ship in your fleet. The response was immediate. Across Earth and throughout the solar system, Zephyrian forces began withdrawing to their ships. Within hours, the entire alien fleet was preparing to depart. But Commander Zethka had one final request before his people left. How? He asked Sarah as human medics treated his injuries. Our intelligence was thorough. We observed your species for rotations before making contact. You appeared to be a young, weak civilization. You observed our cities, our universities, our civilian population, Sarah explained. You saw the face we showed to the galaxy when we're at peace.